Hey everyone, the folks at the CBC, you know those political hacks, these media pundits, these sensationalist tabloid-style media reporters, they're hard at pointing out today that, oh, it's not just Brexit, and it's not just down in the U.S. with Trump coming to power. No, now it's Canadians. Oh, we got to be fearful of the Russians. Oh, the Russians are coming. Oh, the Great Red Scare. You know, we've heard that shit before. And you know what it is? No, there's no bombs. Nope. No, I don't see a whole bunch of ships lined up on the Pacific or the Atlantic coast anywhere where they're starting to invade the country. You know what the big reaction of the media is about is that there's possibly some people in Russia, some of these trolls, that might want to give you information that's against the political propaganda that your own establishment media tries to put forward and present. And you know what it is? I mean, come on. When it comes to propaganda, hey, they don't like competition. So the CBC is like, wait a minute. Propagandizing the people of Canada? Fuck you, Russians. That's our job. That's what this article is basically trying to suggest. And I mean, come on. And even when you think of the pretense, what would that suggest? That Canadians, I guess, we're all just so stupid that all it takes is some Russian troll to just put out a couple tweets or write an article, a fake news article on Facebook. And I guess Canadians are just like, well, I guess I'll believe them over my domestic media propaganda source. Well, what's that tell you? Well, it means that they must even do a better job than the local folks, than your local opinion makers, than your domestic opinion makers. So, well, you know, what I've always said, and one thing I've always acknowledged my whole life is, you got to give kudos to people who are more competent. You know what? So, you know, fuck this bullshit that we all got to be scared of the Russians. Hey, CBC, hey, let me see who's reporting this. Hey, Roberta Roca. Step up your game. Hey, if your opponents or people, the big bad Russians, if they're propagandizing the Canadian people, well, hey, step up your efforts. Because it's not like the CBC, the Canadian Communist Broadcast Corporation, doesn't do the same thing. It's like, don't be butthurt and sore losers about the fact that you just don't seem to create or give the Canadians a narrative that they want to accept. And I guess, you know, some Russian troll can do a better job at it. Yeah, step up your game. But you know what? This is the problem with the Canadian media. They've become so secure in their knowledge that they can control the script and the narrative that they're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? Because we've been lying to the Canadian people for so long, and now that there's a counter narrative, well, we're losing the battle for the minds of the masses. And you know, that is a real thing. But it's not happening because of the Russian trolls. Hey, I'm not Russian. Fully Canadian, born and raised. I kind of I bleed red, and I'm white. I know, it's a bit of a shitty joke, but whatever, you know. No, but really, though. I do the same thing as apparently these Russian trolls. I fight back, and I offer counter opinions and narratives against the established media, so what? Well, hey, matter of fact, CBC, I'm actually, I'm on board with you. Let's get rid of those Russian trolls and their tweets, and you know what? Start focus on people like myself instead, because, yeah, we don't need a whole bunch of external factors or contributors in other foreign countries or foreign entities to give Canadians an actual alternative opinion. It can be done right here at home, domestically. Support your locals. Come on, this is a complete joke, folks. But I'm going to give you a little heads up. Let's just read through this article so we can get a few laughs and point out the ridiculousness of it as well. Headline, Data sheds light on how Russian Twitter trolls targeted Canadians. Tweets tried to sow discord on asylum seekers, Syria, and pipelines. Ooh, well, that sounds pretty scary, doesn't it? Not really. This is, like I say, Roberta Roca, CBC News, posted August 3rd, 2018. In the fall of 2017, when Americans were debating if athletes should kneel during the U.S. national anthem as a form of protest, Russian trolls on Twitter tried to inject the controversy into Canada. Oh, the humanity! Can you imagine such a thing? Oh, yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. The Canadian Football League is protesting their own national anthem, tweeted the account Chris Mogui. Canadian NHL player considering taking a knee during U.S. anthem, wrote another account at Bristazi. These tweets and accounts, along with millions of others, have since been deleted after being outed as trolls with the Internet Research Agency, a company in St. Petersburg with ties to Russian government intelligence. They are part of a cache of some 3 million archived tweets recently pulled together by 2 American researchers, and the newly released data sheds further light on how the now notorious troll farm sought to sow discord, not only among Americans, but Canadians as well. According to a CBC News analysis, out of those 3 million tweets, close to 8,000 mentioned Canadian issues like asylum seekers, the Quebec City mosque shooting, and the Keystone XL pipeline. So, Canada, you would not have a counter or opposing view on these issues if it wasn't for the Russian trolls giving you that opportunity, because you wouldn't be able to think that it's probably not a good idea to bring in a massive amount or allow a massive amount of illegal, folks, illegal, not irregular, illegal people crossing the border that the government gets to force the taxpayers in Canada to pony up and pay for, right? No, you would never come to form an opinion that that's not right if it wasn't for Russian trolls over there in big bad Russia telling you that that's probably not a good idea. You wouldn't be able to come up with that all on your own, Canada. Well, that's what your local media, that's what this doofus writing this article, that's what he or she or Zer or Zen, I don't even know anymore how people want, hey, however they want to identify, hey, unicorn, whatever. Either way, this person is suggesting that you wouldn't be common enough or intelligent enough to figure that you might have an opinion that's counter to the political propaganda espoused by your, like I say, opinion makers. That's not possible, folks. You're too, hey, they figure they've done their job so well that you're so well indoctrinated, there's no way that could happen. Hey, wait a minute. We spent all the time from the point when they were, introduced into the education system all the way till the time when they were adults, indoctrinating them to reject this stuff, to reject counter opinion, to reject counter narratives, and somehow they're seemingly still falling for it. Geez, that almost makes it seem like humans have an actual analytical and objective mind and actually can come to different conclusions than those thrust or imposed on them by their central planners, right? Weird stuff to think about, but hey, that's reality, folks. Canada forced to take drastic action to stop illegals from flooding in, wrote one tweet. The height of the border crossing last summer. Like I say, that's another thing with these contributors to CBC. Is there nobody in there does any proofreading? Like, we're not talking about a blog here. We're talking, a $1 billion company, and he had an article to write. I mean, it's not that long of an article. I mean, it's okay, right? It's, whatever, but didn't take the time to proofread? Really? That shows a lack of actual competence for yourself, I would suggest. But hey, but this is some kind of what? Authority? You're going to tell us how to think and you don't even know how to proofread your own article? Yeah, good job. Shown in the highest spike at right in the chart below. Others tried to capitalize on major news events like the 2017 van attack in Edmonton, when a police officer was stabbed and 4 pedestrians were struck along the city's busy Jasper Avenue. The trolls even used popular hashtags used to discuss federal, Canadian, Paul, and provincial politics. ON Poll, BC Paul, AB Leg. Yeah, or they used specific hashtags in their tweets, so I guess that somehow gives them even more legitimacy, apparently. And Canadians, once again, are too stupid to figure out that I shouldn't have this opinion unless my domestic source tells me that that's conducive with what it means to be Canadian. Well, I'm so glad that I, for one, and most of you that watch my video, thank goodness you have people like me and other people that are actually the most domestically sourced and live in Canada to tell you this stuff, because if they finally get rid of all these Russian trolls, right, if they shut down the internet so that nobody can contribute from outside of Canada, guess you'll just have to listen to people like me. But you know what? You're still going to get that same kind of information. So I guess, in reality, that's not going to help. Right? You can try to shut down and silence people as much as you want, but in reality, it's an impossible task. It's an impossible even premise to suggest that you can shut down speech in the age of information. Yeah, good luck with that one. The data was published by the 538 website and is based on research by Darren Linville and Patrick Warren, 2 professors at South Carolina's Clemson University who pieced together the tweets, pulling more than 2,800 Twitter accounts known to be associated with the IRA. It's believed to be the most fulsome record to date of the Russian Twitter trolling. Earlier this year, as part of the Mueller probe into Russia's interference into the 2016 U.S. presidential elections, 13 Russian nationals and 3 Russian entities were indicted, including the IRA. Okay, so once again, and they've even had to admit, folks, and I'll post a couple articles in the links of the description, in the link of the description of this video below, just so you have it. It's like when they talk about Russian interference, it's the same kind of shit that they're talking about. It's like propaganda, and I mean propaganda has existed for all of history, right? Countervailing political opinions has always existed, folks, like it or not. But to suggest that that's the reason why someone like Trump come to power, no. Trump come to power because the people in U.S., Canada, just like Brexit, it's happened because the people, once they realize that, wait a minute, my own domestic news sources and politicians are basically telling me I'm only allowed to think one way and one way only. Well, you know what? Usually that's a recipe for the breakdown of society and the breakdown of a nation. And what it is, they're seeing that breakdown happen, but they want to attribute to someone else because they don't want to look the mirror. They don't want to hold the mirror up to themselves and say, geez, maybe we did a little bit of that. Maybe we had a little something to do with the fact that Canadians are divided politically so far now that they've run to their respective ideological corners, whether they're from the right or the left, and they refused to even give each other even some sense of reasonableness or even come together and discuss these topics. Because that's another thing that you're seeing out there. What do you see? Political rhetoric from both sides. Are they actually sitting down having any discussions? Anybody hammering out any debates? Nope, you don't see any of that. And in reality, that's the only way. If you want to get back to a functioning society, just like if you want to have your family brought back together, you know, a warring family, everyone's all bickering amongst each other. How are you going to fix that? Huh? Not going to fix it unless you decide that you're going to come together and try to hammer out your disagreements and your variances in your opinion or your ideology and realize that, hey, how are we going to do this and walk away where we can respect each other's individuality? You know, the only way that can happen is individual liberty, libertarianism. But you know what? Like I say, these hacks, no, they're in it to win it. They don't want anyone to have a countervailing opinion or narrative, and they want to jam it down your throat so hard that they'll go to extreme lengths, as we can see, to make that happen. Anyways, I'm not going to read any more from this article. I'm sure you guys probably get, and gals, probably get where it's going. Just more sensationalized bullshit to try to pump up this animosity and hatred and blame someone else for the ills of our domestic society, of our nation. Which, I mean, this will play out just like every video I've done. That's what the beautiful thing about the internet and have an archive. You'll be able to come back to this a year later, 2 years, and say, shit, fucking Bennett was right again. Why? The reason why is because I pay attention, I use common sense, logic, reason, and I don't fall for political ideology when I'm talking about the things that matter most. And that's why I want you to help me in sharing this video so that other people can learn these things as well. Because if all they're getting is political rhetoric from the establishment media, they're not being truly informed. They're actually being massively disinformed. Give them the alternative source for their news or information, someone like myself, and then put it this way, they won't be able to blame any Russian trolls, because I am Canadian through and through. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.